Welcome to the Future 3 podcast. Boo. I'm Sean.
I'm Shaylin.
And I'm Cyan.
And we are the Future 3 podcast.
Today's guest worked at Deloitte, Facebook, QVC, and is now the Vice President of Internal Audit at Pinterest. Please welcome Mr. Ram Vijanathan.
Yeah.
Guys. Thank you for having me. Excited to
We're
be
glad
here.
to have you.
Yeah. It's going to be a great episode.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Before we get started, I have a very important question for you because you've done a lot and everybody wants to know this question. What is your favorite food?
You know what? As you get older, you're supposed to say things that are more healthier, but I will tell you, hands down, it's got to be pizza, man. Like I love,
Good choice.
Classic.
you know what I mean? Like, come on, like New York, like, they got some good pizza there. So I am a big pizza fan. You
What's
guys?
your favorite toppings?
I'm gonna say on the vegetarian front, it's got to be jalapenos. As on the meat front, I'll say pepperoni. You may not appreciate that, but I love pepperoni.
I can do some good mushrooms and spinach on mine.
Yeah. I'm just a plain
That's awesome.
cheese guy for pizza.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with pizza, though.
Yeah. Even though I'm more of a mac and cheese guy, I like some pizza here and there.
You can put some mac and cheese on that pizza.
That's a good idea. All right.
Yeah.
So let's go back all the way to the 1900s, back in your high school career.
That's a long time. It's almost 1800s, my friend. But okay, let's go. Let's say 1900s. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm trying to make you younger, you know. So what were you like back then? Were you like a partier? Did you love all the girls? Were you more of the athlete, or were you like an academic type of kid?
I mean, great question. I would say I didn't really, unlike Krishna Kaka or Satya Kaka, who I know you've interviewed. I wasn't super like serious about school. I think I did well, but I wasn't super motivated. I could tell you when I got motivated and why, but like I was like kind of like the student that like did okay, did what I need to get by, but I wasn't like an overachiever.
That makes sense. So like you weren't motivated to work, but you still got your job. You still worked hard in college and ended up getting a great job.
Pretty much. I mean, I think um, I have always kind of done, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Like I've been doing audit my whole career, and so coming out of college, I found this job. You know, it was great. I mean, I was traveling all the time. It was an audit job. But yeah, I mean, I really did. I did reasonably well in college. I worked, but I didn't work as hard. Like if I had to do it over again, I would go back to college and like really work hard because I think I could have done much, much better and done a lot of more different things had I just put a little bit more effort into it.
Yeah, I know. And also, we have zero clue what an auditor does or what they are.
Okay.
Can you explain that for us?
Let me tell you. First of all, I'm going to thank you guys because nobody ever invites audit people to meetings or to like podcasts and things like that. I'm super grateful that you guys asked me to do this. And then secondly, let me kind of demystify what an auditor does, or at least an internal auditor, which is what I do. I work for a company, currently it's Pinterest. And what I look at for the company is really like helping them to manage risk. So like, if you think about it, it's not, when you think about auditors or, people say, oh, they just look at numbers or financials or whatnot. It's not that just that. Yes, I look at the financials and make sure that they're accurate and all that good stuff. But I also look at their IT systems. I look at topics like cybersecurity and data privacy and all these things. Ultimately, the goal of what I'm doing is working with my peers and my management team to say, all right, how do we manage risk for the company? And what I do in particular, what my team does is we kind of, the team say, hey, we do all these things to protect the company. and I'm basically going behind them and validating that they're doing those things, and then telling our board and our management team, like, yeah, this is what, management's doing the things that they say they're doing.
Unique. I like. Is it kind of like similar to treasury, or is it more of like kind of just calculating the risk involved in the company's
Actually,
decisions?
it's a lot like I mean, treasury is a different form of risk management. That's where they're managing and you're trying to like maximize the cash that you have and the return on the cash that you have invested. So it is a form of risk management.
So in high school, did you want to be an audit, and did you take classes that were basically like speaking or being an audit?
I could confidently say that there's probably not one high school kid that says they want to be an auditor when they grow up. Okay. Because
Yeah.
like ultimately it's not something like you, at least in high school, you get exposed to. And actually the only reason I got exposed to it was like we went to college, started taking like business classes and accounting classes and things like that. And then when you started to look for internships, that's where all these like big accounting firms would come to Penn State and say, "Oh, come in and like try to be an auditor for us." And so that's how we learned about it. I didn't really know what an auditor was. So, Sign to your question, what I wanted to do in high school was like, yes, I kind of joined like clubs that were like businessy and things like that, which were fun. But if you ask me what I really wanted to do and what I thought I would do, I wanted to be a lawyer. Um, Ultimately went a different way. So Shayla, it seems like you want to be a lawyer as well, but like it went a different way. But I'm very happy on where I ended up.
Maybe Shaylin's gonna become an auditor.
I might be. I don't know. Being a lawyer definitely seems like a cool career. I can't lie.
I mean, funny enough, though, like you say that, but like I work very closely with lawyers at work, right? Because ultimately, lawyers are telling us, hey, these are the rules, these are the laws, these are the regulations. And then that's basically what I'm auditing against, right? So I work very closely with like the lawyers and public policy people. And like, so yeah, it's pretty cross functional.
So I want to take a step back to you were kind of talking about internships are how you got to find out more about your career and being in auditing.
Yep.
So, like, how important were these internships, and were they even present when you were in high school? And yeah, were they present?
Yeah. So in high school, they weren't. And remember, I went to high school in Canada, right? And then moved down here when I was just about to go to Penn State, when I was just like a senior in high school. But I would tell you, I had internships in college, and like I didn't get them the traditional ways, like Krishna Kaka and like your dad and all them. They went to their career fairs and like they applied and got internships that way because I was like trying to figure out like I was just in college, I was new here. My dad helped me connected me to a lot of people, right? So I guess the reason I'm saying that to you guys is it's the power of your network. One, internships are super helpful, right? Like they really give you context around like what it is to really like how it is to really work in the workforce. I would say, I, you know, I do put a lot of effort and emphasis in like networking and making sure that um like I'm connecting with people, right? And so like I was lucky that my dad was able to connect me to a few people who then one of them offered me an internship. Then I did great at that internship. So the next summer they offered me a different internship, same company. And ultimately that was a company I think I did 3 internships with them and then ended up taking a full-time job with them as well when I graduated.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so you mentioned that you had an education in Canada, but when you moved to the States, and on an education standpoint, what was going through your mind?
I mean, I was kind of, I mean, to be honest with you, I was a little bit like, I was worried, right? Like, because I don't know what it is, how different it is because I got all through 11th grade in Canada and like been in that system and knew how it
Oh wow.
worked and had a path to college. Then my dad got a job and we moved to New Jersey. And then I did 12th grade here. And honestly, guys, like I did like 3 U.S. history classes in that year because it was a requirement to graduate from high school here. And I had to like I'd never heard of the SATs in my life. Like we don't have to do them there. So I had to
Oh
take like a
wow.
prep course and take the SAT. So it was a lot to do plus college applications all in that first 3 or 4 months I was in after I just moved down here. Right. So it was a lot, but like ultimately I think it makes you stronger. Like like if you can kind of get through that, it definitely makes you a stronger person.
Yeah, definitely. It builds your base.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And also, I want to kind of fast forward into college after, after you're done with all this whole college process, which today's world is completely different from the stories I'm hearing
Yeah.
from my parents. But after you got into college, you did all these internships, you explored through your school at Penn State, is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah, so while you were there, did you ever have that one moment that was like, m- e- even if it was like during one of your internships, that you were like, wow, this auditing thing is really for me?
Yeah. So I will tell you that one of my summers, right, the internship I did was audit, exactly what I do today. And Shayla, I'll tell you, like the thing I loved about the job was like I was traveling, like I was in college, I was traveling to all these different places all summer long, like because audits, like you're doing different audits every couple of weeks, and so like I'd be traveling all over the U.S. I actually got a chance to go to Europe as well, which was super cool. Um, and that was what kind of attracted me to audit. I will tell you though, like ultimately coming out of like as I was kind of doing those internships though, what it really taught me was like, how does business work, right? Like, how do people kind of work together? How do they work in teams to make really like thoughtful, strategic decision making and things like that? So like, it was like a whole other skill that I learned that I wasn't getting in school.
Yeah, I feel like out of all the people we've interviewed, no one really found what their passion is through school. They found it outside of school or through connection.
Absolutely. Like I will tell you, I knew nothing about auditing until I got this internship, which was just by chance. But like you're right, you don't learn like I mean, see, you learn the academics, you learn how to kind of problem solve and think like critical thinking a little bit in school. But like where you really learn is talking to people, networking with them, understanding what they do, right? And then like you'll find connections around how that connects to your interests. And guys, like the thing I could tell you, like the biggest piece of advice is the world has changed a lot. Obviously, I think you guys are going to probably about like AI and it's what it's going to be, what
Hmm.
it's going to mean to businesses and the world in the next 5, 10 years. It's coming very, very quickly. And like even for me, I have to reposition the way I think about like how I execute my work, right? So my point is I don't do that in a bubble. I'm really talking to other people in my industry and even outside of my industry and mentors to really get a sense of like how I should think about and calibrate my decision making.
Yeah. So, do you truly love what you do?
I do. And it's funny to say that again, probably you will never hear anybody say they love auditing, but I will tell you your job is like, as you said, like there's no one job that's the same. It's what you make of it as well. So I think if you ask people, like most people do audit, like Krishna Kakan, and even your dad did audit for a couple of years or maybe 5 or 6 years, and then they moved on. Krishna Kakan moved on to other finance roles and moved up. Your dad kind of became a CEO and kind of like he became an entrepreneur. And for me, I stayed in audit, but the reason I stayed, right, and why I like it is the ability to be creative, right? Like I can do different things. So I'm like, I'm not always doing the same thing. Every job I've had, every year in those jobs, you're always doing something different. And if you are, that will keep you motivated. If you're doing the same stuff day in, day out, that wouldn't be challenging to me. So like, it's what you make of it, guys, in terms of like any role is going to be interesting depending on how much you put into it to make it like interesting for you.
Yeah, and you're in a pretty interesting role where you have to make huge decisions that impact the company that you're in. What goes through your mind when you have to make those tough decisions? Or do you have any pregame rituals that you do?
Great question. Um, I would tell you when it comes to kind of audit and risk management, right? What
Yeah.
I do every day is like I look at like risk for the company. I think about like, all right, what are those risks that would have the biggest impact to the company? And then what I would do is say, let me audit those risks to make sure that they're not as big a risk as they possibly could be, right? And so like it's being very calculated and being very thoughtful about like where do you spend your time? What are those areas in the business that require the most attention? And I think a lot of that is like how much like you understand not only about the business but also like the world around you, right? So yeah, it is, to your point, it is big decisions, but I would say very calculated and very like thoughtful. Like there's a way to kind of get through that decision.
I feel like that's kind of a mindset that you have to have if you want to go into auditing, right?
Absolutely. I think
Like
you have
risk
to have
manage. Like
risk management and really good process understanding. Yeah, for sure. I will tell you though, I have a great set of like team members that we all talk and calibrate around like how much risk are we willing to take, and we kind of do that, and we talk like in detail about like the pros and cons of taking risks, and then we make a decision, right?
That's interesting because your brother kind of said something that kind of relates to this, in that he said that you should, when making big important decisions, you should have that kind of like board of people that you could just go back and talk to, and like everyone can just trust each other and have an educated conversation. That kind of sounds like this, where you have your group of people that are able to help you through making decisions. Are you guys able to kind of like balance out in terms of, if one person gets too high, the other person will bring them down, like stay balanced?
So I would say at work and in your personal life, right? At work, I think I mentioned to you guys at the beginning, like I work very closely with legal. I work very closely with our engineering team. I work very closely with our product team. Like, yeah, it's like people will come with these really audacious, big ideas. And it's like, you have to have a really good thought process and discussion to say, is this the right call? Is it so? As long as somebody's not just kind of like doing it on their own and like not consulting with people, yeah, I think you will. Krishna is exactly right. You have this kind of group that you're talking to that's giving you perspective, that's giving you like counsel, and they're helping you think through something. You absolutely need that, even in your personal life, right? Your dad, such a Kaka, like my Krishna Kaka, that's like my board. Like I talk to those guys about things that impact me in work and in life. And like, so it's always good to have, I think a board or people that you, um, talk
or a
to and
team.
network with and a team. Yeah. It's not just in work. It's also in your personal life as well.
It's like in sports where like the head coach has to talk to his offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator about like the playbooks
Exactly.
and what plays to run during the game, like at those moments.
Yeah, you have to be able to communicate what you have to communicate.
100%. And sometimes, right, like Sirianni will defer to the OC or will defer to Fangio. Like sometimes you have to empower other people. Like they might be the best person to take that decision forward or make that move that forward. And so like it's also making sure the right person's running with that decision or with that action.
And I also love that you're mentioning team. Like you have to have a team around you. For example, I was just thinking this in a basketball team, the lowest ranked member of the group can also have a huge impact on the team. Like for example, the water boy could be maybe like the hype man of the team, and that could bring up the team's morale and help them win more games.
Dude, I mean, so well said, Sean. Like I mentioned to Shayla one time, I think like I listened to this podcast and I'm not trying to advertise another podcast on your podcast, so cut this out if you want to, but like I listened to this podcast called The Glue Guys, right? And it's Alex Smith, it's Shane Battier, and it's guys like Ravi Singh, I think. Anyway, the whole point of the whole it's very sports indexed podcast, but the concept of a glue guy is it's not going to be the superstar. It's not the LeBron James. It's the guy that's setting him up. That's kind of holding the team together. That's basically the glue of the team.
Yeah, exactly.
Super important. And so to that point, like the thing I'm the most proud of every day and like the motivation to go to work and all that is working with a really good team and helping that team and those people move up in their careers as well. Like
Yeah,
that's the single biggest reward of working for me.
you got to be able to fit into your setting.
That's exactly it.
And well, so you clearly make some pretty crazy decisions. Have you ever made one that was like kind of like your welcome to the real world moment, where it was like a crazy risk that maybe didn't work out the way you expected it to, and you kind of learned a lesson from it?
I'll tell you, I learned something from everything that we do. Like every decision you make it's always going to have like puts and takes in terms of like things that really went well in the direction that you went, and then things that you can improve upon. So like I would say that happens more often than not in most things that you do in a work setting, right? You're always learning from your mistakes or your environment or how something played out. Do I have a particular instance? I would say more so on the on a personal front. Like sometimes, um, I think that I told you guys like when I was younger, I was like, and until I kind of like got that like internship like rejection from Deloitte, I wasn't like super like gung ho, like super motivated, right? And I will tell you, like, those are things where I think I took myself out of the game before even trying to play, meaning I didn't apply to jobs or try to take certain classes that I think I would have benefited from just because I was like, oh, I'm not going to do well here. I'm not going to do that. Right. I have since learned. And what I do now is I'm much more of like, let me try. And if it doesn't work, I'd have learned something from it. Like you will always, if you try and learn, it's better than not trying at all. You get what I'm saying? And so like I'm all about like take a little I know I said before, like I'm not like a huge risk taker. It's always got to be calculated,
Yeah.
but you gotta try things to really see if they're gonna work and if it's gonna make you better.
Yeah, for sure.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? You gotta keep
100% right.
trying.
Dude, you guys have these sports like
I
cliches
know.
and things like that. So it's amazing. You got it on lock. That's amazing.
Yeah. That's what you get when we're always watching sports all day. So basically, like, let's say I was a student,
Yeah.
what mindset would you advise that I would need to have if I was maybe thinking about going into internal audit?
So I would say maybe some critical skills, right? Is again critical thinking, right? Like I think you have to be like what an auditor does is they understand a whole process and then they start to audit it to see if it's actually working. So the ability to kind of understand and like kind of critically think through a process is one. Project management skills is key. It's time management and making sure you're well organized. That extends out to the work that I do. Like I expect my team to be super well organized in terms of when they're executing their work. the
Yeah.
the last thing I would tell you is in audit, right? I told you, like, we don't just do like financials. We're looking at like all these different topics. You've got to be curious, right? You've got to be asking questions to learn about like different topics that you're not used to like dealing with day to day because they're important to the business. And so like that ability to learn and like have that kind of like go out there and do the research and now with AI that helps that simplifies things. But my point to you is you've got to be able to kind of think outside the box, right? Because you're going to have to like come to that, like when you're going to audit that, you got to really think about, have I covered all the risks? Like, do I really understand this process, right? And so that requires a lot of kind of like thinking outside the box.
You gotta think outside the box a lot. Like, even, like, last night we watched the 30 for 30 Philly special thing, and the
Yeah,
first thing that popped in Nick Foles' mind was the Philly special because he
yes, it
knew it
was.
would catch everybody off guard, and he knew it would work.
I wouldn't
Absolutely. I mean,
I mean, that kind of connects to your job because it's risk management, right?
I
yeah.
wouldn't have said that was a calculated risk though. He kind of was just like, "YOLO, bro. It's a Super Bowl. Let's try it. If it doesn't work out,
But
Yeah.
I would say, yes, he tried it, but what did he do? He came out, they took a time. I can't remember. Me and your dad, everyone were at that game.
Yeah.
yeah,
Whether he took a time or came to the sidelines, he's talking to Peterson. He's talking to a bunch of people say Philly special. And everyone's like, yeah, 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 go, go, go. Right. Yeah. Like, yes, that was a big risk, maybe not as calculated, but he still went to his team. He still went to his board of directors and said, is this the right call? And they said, yeah, let's do it. And then he ran in and ran the play and it was successful. Right.
Well executed.
Well executed. And like,
exactly."
again, I would say one thing I will tell you, like with tech companies, like especially like Meta or Facebook, the mindset there is don't be afraid to fail, right? Like ultimately, like like move fast and break things, right? Is kind of a motto because like how do you innovate otherwise? How do you get ahead of your competition? The point of what I do from an audit perspective is just make sure we have the right guardrails so that we're not breaking things too much or we're not, you're not breaking the whole company by doing things. But innovation and like moving fast. Yeah. And so, like in that exact Philly special example, it was unconventional. It wasn't something that I mean, they had drawn up that play, but you never think they were going to actually use it.
Yeah,
But
no.
like he had to react, right? And so there's something to be said about that as well. And honestly, that's what entrepreneurs do, right? That's the essence of people that start up all these startups. They're going after like a risk, or they're going after trying to solve a problem that nobody solved before. And how do you do that? You got to take some bigger risks.
You gotta learn from your failures.
Wait,
Absolutely.
one
Don't be
second.
afraid to learn from failure.
All right. You ready to flip the tables?
Sure.
Do you mean
You want to
turn
ask
the
us any
tables?
questions?
Oh.
Oh,
Am I literally going to flip the table here, or what
you
are you
want to
doing?
turn the
Let's
tables
just
and
flip it over.
Yeah, oh yeah, I am ready. Okay.
Let's see what
So
questions you got, Ram Kaka.
I will tell you guys, I am super impressed by, Future Two, right?
thank you so
And so,
much.
no, you guys are doing a great thing. I think, like, if I'm not mistaken, it's like bringing a career fair to you three, to your friends, to your like to your community, which is amazing because I think the world is going to be so much different in the next 5 or 10 years. And when you guys are graduating college and things like that, you're going to have different decisions to make about what your job's going to look like, right? And what you're going
Yeah.
to do for the rest of your life. So maybe I'll start with what motivated you, or what was the inspiration for the podcast? Because I mean, again, it's a phenomenal product.
His dad was asking us a bunch of questions, like trying to dig deep on what we actually want to do. And then we just kept saying, I don't know.
Yeah.
Exactly. We were
And
like
that led
sitting
to this
around
podcast.
we were like standing around the counter, and Dad kept saying like, "What do you guys want to do?" And we were like,
Then why? And then he kept saying, why?
I mean, look, at the end of it, I mean, your dad's right to ask those questions. You guys are in high school, you got to figure it out, right? I will tell you, maybe just by like one, I love that. Even in these conversations, I learn from you. Hopefully, you learn a little bit from me, and you're expanding, like, kind of like what different professions are that you could possibly do. But I'll tell you guys and your friends and whoever kind of like your audience here, like, I think the world is changing and understanding like what the impacts of AI and staying close to like what AI can do in terms of how it changes how a business and how jobs work.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, Another question. You guys come up with some really good questions, right? Like I really enjoy the conversation. You can definitely tell you guys are super prepared. But like, what resources do you guys use to like do your research and build your understanding on different topics, whether it be for like a podcast with me or Christian Gaga, or Sachin Gaga, or just even school? Like, what do you guys do to kind of prepare? Because it's impressive.
So I mean, we like before starting this podcast, we did just make an account on LinkedIn just to see like all the different people that do different things, because I mean that's
Yeah.
a very professional app. And then also we usually use mainly Google, like because after you go on Google, you could prompt it and tell it to like ask it different things. And then also there's that new feature of like the Gemini overview,
Yeah.
which I think is very useful because it scans all the sources that Google provides.
Yeah. I love it.
Right.
All right. Thank you for joining us.
Dude, I
We
have to tell you
appreciate
guys,
having you.
this was a sincere pleasure. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it, and keep up all the good work. This is a great product that you guys are delivering. So good for you guys.
Thank you.
All
You
right.
can you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere. We are the Future 3 Podcast, and we out. Peace.
Peace.